Hi people, Morgan Ravenberg here. This video, as the header states, is going to be about Horary Astrology. Before I begin, I want to say that this is a remastered version of Horary Astrology. I already did a video on it, but this was a good while ago. I think this was 4 years ago, 2016, 2017 that I did it. So yeah, I'm simply going to remaster them and give updated information and whatnot. In the future, I might consider remastering either all or the majority of my videos, but I'm not sure if it's a good idea or not. And most importantly, if it's worth the trouble. So we'll see. In any case, yeah, I'm going to update this video, and after Horary Astrology, I'm also going to talk about chart progressions and regressions. So yeah, for everything useful that you might want or need, check the link in the description below. I'm going to link a couple of things in there, including if you want, including the link to the page that highlights my online course in astrology for people that want to learn astrology. Even if you want to learn just one branch of astrology, you can still purchase that, and you can skip to the part you need, specifically Horary Astrology, since the course consists of videos being split up in which I actually have recorded me using my astrological software and teaching people step by step how to do an horary chart. So yeah, in any case, here goes. Regarding Horary Astrology, Horary Astrology is simply a branch of astrology that's used for inquiries. Inquiries such as if you want to know the outcome of a situation or a topic, if you want to know what someone is thinking about you or how someone feels about you, you name it, anything relating to that, any situation that you might be confronted with in life, more or less, Horary Astrology can give you an overview of that. The benefits of Horary Astrology are that, like astrology in general, it has no barriers in the sense that there is nothing that can stop it. Okay, God's will is, metaphorically speaking, reflected in the planets, literally in a certain context. But even if you're someone that doesn't believe in God or related, you can take it as a metaphor. Bottom line is that the universe's intent is reflected in the planets and other celestial bodies themselves or itself, and there's nothing that can stop that. Within an occult text, not even a spirit can stop that. So even if you're an occultist that works with a certain amount of spirit, that spirit will not be able to prevent, for example, an horary astrological chart from divulging the correct information. So yeah, even if you want to know what a spirit thinks about you, if you're an occultist again, like, and you work with a spirit, yeah, an horary chart can tell you exactly what you want to know about the spirit, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, the basic rule with Horary Astrology, or basic rules, apply. The houses, in terms of definitions, vary slightly, only slightly from. They only vary slightly from a natal astrology in terms of definitions. There are some changes here and there. The first house still represents one's individual temperament and whatnot. The second house represents one's financial life in general. The third house represents daily life, comings and goings, you name it, communication, contracts. Fourth house represents one's domestic situation, and it just goes on and on and on like that. Okay. Again, see the link in the description below if you want full definitions, etc., etc. I'm just going to give you a review here, or a shortly summarized version. For the rest, and obviously this video is for people that are interested in detail in astrology specifically. Yeah, those are basic things to keep in mind. There are minor differences from natal astrology, and it all depends on the situation at hand. It all depends on the situation. Within Horary Astrology, there is also something called turning the chart. Turning the chart reflects if your question, your inquiry, is about you opposing someone or having an opposite, so an opposing party. An example that I can give is a girlfriend, for example. Let's just say that you're seeing someone, whether it be man or woman, doesn't matter. and you want to know whether that person is cheating on you and or what that person is thinking about you, how the person feels about you, either in a romantic setting or just overall as a casual individual, you name it. When you cast your horary chart, then the top part of the chart, so house 6 to 12, applies to the person's life. The definitions are the same as well as in general. So the bottom side of the chart, split by a horizontal line, of course, belongs to you, and its standard definitions apply. And the top part belongs to the person, aside from the fact that all houses have their general meaning. So it all depends on the situation. So for example, if I were to cast a chart, just gonna give you a brief example. If I wanted to cast a chart on an individual, for example, I had a girlfriend and I want to know how she feels about me and what she sees in me as a partner, as a romantic partner. And it turns out that I'm represented by Mars because the ascendant is in Aries, and that's the way it works. And she's represented by Venus because her ascendant or the descendant for me is in Taurus or in Libra. Then if it's in Aries, then it's going to be in Libra because Aries opposes Libra. And it turns out that she represented by Venus. Venus is in the second house, specifically in Taurus. I already said that the second house deals with material possessions and finances and money and so on, you name it. So long story short, within the context of the chart in general, that would mean that she is a gold digger, a huge one, okay, and that she has her eyes set on my money and that she cares about my money, okay. That's why she's with me. And the chart would also indicate things in sometimes in excessive detail even. That's the beauty of astrology overall. So that's how an horary chart works, and other rules apply to basic rules. But you can look for the link in the description if you want to know everything in detail. The merit of horary astrology as well as astrology overall for me, if you were to ask me that, what the merit is of astrology, I dismiss any kind of doubts or any kind of scientific article which states the opposite, that the merit is questionable or that there's no definitive proof. No, I'm dismissing that right away. You can take it from me. I don't want to swear for good measure, just for politeness' sake, but metaphorically speaking, I swear on my existence and on my life that everything is correct. No joke. That astrology has merit like no other. Based on my own knowledge, my own extensive experience, it has merit, and boy does it have merit like no other. I mean, it's the same thing as the logic of 1 + 1 = 2. It is science, but it's occult science, it's metaphysical science in such a context. Other things to keep in mind with horary astrology, the only other thing that I'm going to say about astrology or horary astrology is its drawback. The drawback with horary astrology is that it's heavily reliant, let's just say 80% reliant upon one's own intuition and level of insight, which needs to be really advanced like mine, even if I say so myself. Make no mistake, there are basic rules that you can follow as a beginner. I remember following those basic same rules because you have to start somewhere. But those will only take you so far. For the most part, everything depends on your level of insight, your ability to assess what the chart means within a correct context, and that only comes with practice. Okay, and it depends on how well your clairvoyant senses are developed. I mean, I have cast to date, let me check my software. I have cast to date I've cast 2,815 charts, the majority of which, I think 70% roughly estimated, at least 70%, I think more. 70% of which are horary charts. So if you want to know exactly, it's like 2815 divided by 10 times 7. 1900, over 1900 charts approximately that I've cast, which are horary charts. So that's why I am so good at casting charts. Again, even if I say so myself, horary charts. Horary astrology is something I use in a daily life or within a daily context. You name it. If I want to know how well a spirit will commit a task for a customer, how well a spirit will do a job for a customer, and all the other related data involved, It's Horary Astrology. If I want to know if it's a good idea to go on vacation somewhere, and if I'm going to enjoy myself, or whether there's going to be some, negative drawback, something that will make the trip kind of tedious or anything like that, or being there tedious, then yeah, Horary Astrology. Horary. Okay. 99 out of 100 charts I cast are Horary Astrology. So yeah, it is heavily reliant upon your own intuition, clairvoyance, level of insight, and the basic rules will only take you so far. There are exceptions to those basic rules, depending all on a number of factors, a few of which are the inquiry that you put forth and related. Lastly, what I'm going to mention about Horary Astrology is that the simple basic rule for inserting an horary chart or for casting a chart are to simply cast the date, time, and location of your inquiry, the date, time, and location of your question. So if I had a question now, as in, hey, should I go out tonight or should I just stay at home? Then it's simply the current date, time, and location. I mean, location as in city, country. And although you can adjust things, basic astrological settings apply. That's technical. I'm not going to get into that. But the basic house system that is applied is. Give me a second. The basic house settings, the house system that's applied is regiomontanus. The coordinate system geocentric, the zodiac system tropical, and the event type should be horary within your software that you're using. So yeah, that is it on Horary Astrology. And now I'm going to discuss, because it's short, I'm simply going to merge two videos into one, so to speak. I'm going to merge two topics into one. Chart progressions and regressions. As within astrology, it's also possible to fast forward or rewind, thereby seeing someone's past as well as future and the present, of course, under basic rules and guidelines. I've experimented with this and I've refined this technique. And yeah, what else can I tell you? Yeah, chart progression simply stands for fast forwarding a chart, and chart regressions the adverse. Okay. Regressing someone's chart. The basic rules for chart progressions and regressions that apply, it's a bit like transit astrology, is that the zodiac sign that rules the ascendant, the planet that it belongs to. So for example, Aries would belong to Mars, represents you, and I'm sorry, that's basic Horary Astrology. No. I'm sorry. What am I saying? Now, within chart regressions and progressions and regressions, the moon is important and the signs that it has. Okay, especially the moon, but no specific planet represents you. I'm sorry, I was thinking about Horary Astrology impulsively. No, the moon is especially important, but the entire chart matters. Okay, so no specific planet. That's something you need to keep in mind. It's like a natal chart, okay, that you can fast forward as well as rewind. But it doesn't have to be a natal chart. It could also be, something relating to a situation. But it is complicated because then, if you were to fast forward it, you would still have to keep the basic rules of Horary Astrology in mind. It all depends on the situation, but that's the basics. Those are the basics of it, okay? Chart progressions and regressions. That's what chart progressions and regressions are. So if I was born, for example, if I were to work with my natal chart and I were to simply say, I want to see what's going to happen to me in the future. Basic rules that you need to keep in mind are within astrology are that if you work with software and you progress and or regress, 1 hour equals one day equals a year. 1 hour, hold on, I need to look it up. Hold on, I have everything documented. Time conversions, that I wrote down for myself. 1 day equals a year in astrology. 1 hour equals half a month, so 15 days, and 1 minute equals 6 hours, so a quarter of a day. So if I want to fast forward to next month, I want to see what's going to happen to me next month or where I'll be in my life. The rule applies that I would simply have to, when using software, general astrological software has this feature or option to either progress or regress a chart or animate the chart, that's the phrase that the software primarily uses. You need to work with these settings, okay? If you select a minute, then fast forwarding every 6 hours. So 4 minutes equals a day, roughly estimated. If you want to see what's going to happen to you next year, then you'd have to fast forward it by a day. So if I were 19 years old and I wanted to see what life is going to be like in next year, then I fast forward a day. If I want to see what's going to happen to me in 10 years, 29 years old, then I need to fast forward it by 10 days. Bear in mind that chart progressions and regressions are not foolproof in the fact that they are subject to certain restrictions. Point one, if you're someone that has traveled at some point in your life, you've gone on vacation or something like that, then no, chart progressions and regressions are not going to be correct. The reason is because you'd have to track your movement from birth to all the locations you went to. Keep in mind that as long as you stay in the same country, then it's not an issue, because the geographical coordinates are, even if you've gone to different cities within the country, as long as you stay within the same region. For example, for the US it would be within the same state. There's not a lot of difference. There is barely any difference to the point where it matters, geographically speaking, coordinate wise, because obviously astrology works with geographical coordinates. But if you fast forward, if you literally, let's just say you live in the US and you live in Florida and you went on vacation to DC, Washington DC itself, then that's going to make a difference, because then you would have to, when animating the chart, you'd have to, in the chart, so to speak, you'd also have to go to DC and you'd have to measure when you come back, and it just goes on like that. So not a good idea. To prevent complications, I just exclude it outright, okay? So chart progressions and regressions, you will not be able to use it if you've ever traveled to a foreign country or a country outside your immediate region, a location outside your immediate region, to the point where it matters geographically. So a different country in general, or a different state or province, not a neighboring one. A neighboring one is arguably, for the most part, it will be the same in terms of merit. But somewhere that can officially be classified as, hey, if you were to go by car, it would take you at least a week to arrive there, somewhere really far. So other than that, basic rules apply, and that is what chart progressions and regressions are subject to. Let me see if there's anything else I have to mention. Nothing else comes to mind. Horary astrology and chart progressions and regressions can also be used to find out someone's legitimate time of birth. This is a technique that I've also refined. Obviously, I'm keeping it for myself, but I know how to calculate someone's time of birth, because I've been confronted with a lot of situations or scenarios where someone's time of birth really matters and is, it's incorrect most of the times, for several reasons, but in general, I've come across a lot of people whose time of birth was incorrect. They either don't know it or it's incorrect. I know how to deal with it. And if the person has traveled, I obviously don't use chart progressions or regressions. If the person has stayed in one place their entire life, so for example, the person is from Colombia, the person has stayed in Colombia for the most part, then it's not an issue. But if the person has traveled outside of Colombia, then chart progressions and regressions are not going to work, and I basically use Horary Astrology. I know how to do that. I know how to do that, even if I say so myself. But that's pretty much it. And last but not least, I'm going to close off by saying that that with chart progressions and regressions, whenever you cast a chart, it's like a natal chart, okay? If you've progressed the chart and you've kept all the circumstances that I just mentioned in mind, all the exclusions, then it's not going to be an issue. it's not going to be an issue. Not going to be an issue because how should I put it? It's going to be the basic outline of natal astrology. So, for example, if you fast forward at your chart 10 years and you saw that a good deal of planets change zodiac signs and houses, yeah, of course, that's normal. And so you need to read it from that point on as a natal chart. If Mars is in the 4th house, you need to read that based on a natal description. If Saturn is in the 12th house, you need to read that in a natal description from a natal perspective, and it just goes on like that. So that's how you read the chart. Those are basic things that to keep in mind. Let me know if you have any other questions, and thanks for watching. Bye.